Now we're moving into hour number 3, and I was thinking about maybe like giving it kind of a star date or something, so that future uh, generations who dig this up from some crazy hard drive buried beneath the rubble actually knows when this takes place. You know, Alex Jones. He always starts his his programs with a date, and he's gonna say something like, "Today is the 23rd day of September." In the year 2013, and the globalists are mobilizing in Middle East. uh, but yeah, it's kind of late, and night has fallen here, and everything is quiet. And it's time to get something off your heart, your mind, and I wanted to take a cue from the last hour about folding space. I want to talk more about the Big Bang, and that we are still in the middle of it. Um, you know, it's important for us to be on the same page, on the same level. If we're taking this journey together, because then we can agree a lot more. If we have the same preferences, same starting point, it becomes much easier to see eye to eye. And you're thinking this guy is crazy because he's starting at the with Big Bang Theory. It's like the most complicated thing in the world. It's not simple at all. And it is actually quite simple. You know, I was thinking about the edge of space, right? Like, what is the edge of space? If we're traveling, like everything got slung out from the point where everything started, when the Big Bang happened, 13.7 billion light, 13.7 billion years ago, and it exploded at the speed of light. It started expanding. And those early photons from all that time ago, they're at the edge of what we perceive as space or the universe right now, still going. They have been traveling for 13.7 billion years at the speed of light. And a lot of other stuff was created in the Big Bang. All the matter that we have, all the antimatter, all the dark matter, all the dimensions, all the crazy stuff in the universe, all the atoms and building blocks and everything was created at that point. That's the theory, right? It's still contested. But the smartest scientists in the world are kind of clinging to that theory because you can uh, rewind. You can kind of rewind the universe because you can see what is our current speed and heading. Our galaxy is traveling away from the point where the Big Bang happened. And every other galaxy and every other piece of matter in the universe is traveling away from this point at some speed. Like some have collided and gravity have affected them, and some are swirling around and being pulled back by different forces. Chaos is certainly hard at work. But in general, you know, in general, everything is just fleeing or traveling away from this point at the speed of light. A lot of stuff is slowed down. Like our Earth is not traveling at the speed of light right now. Because then, if you turned on your cell phone, then the light wouldn't reach your eyes because it was already traveling at the speed of light. That's a whole other discussion. Yeah. But what is at the edge? What is at the edge of space? Is there like a curtain? Is that our new frontier? Is that like where the dragons live? Is that where the water falls off the flat Earth? Is that our new the new prison that we're constructing for ourselves? This idea that there is an edge. Is there even an edge? Like if there has been a starting point and we have a constant speed of light and we have a time that it's been traveling, then you can actually calculate the radius of the universe. You just take the speed of light and multiply it by the time, and then you get distance, right? So you take 300,000 kilometers per second and multiply it by 13.7 billion years, and that's a number. I don't know if it makes much sense, but it's pretty big. And there's this theory that we're slowing down because of friction and basically gravity, galaxies that are closer to the point of Big Bang are pulling galaxies that are further away back towards that galaxy, because everything has a gravitational impact on everything else. All matter have a gravitational impact on all other matter, and that is such a crazy thing to just trying to comprehend, that everything is pulling everything. So it's like an equilibrium, right? There's this balance going on. But there's this theory that we're slowing down, that matter is ever so slowly, but it's still slowing down, and at some point it's gonna stand still. It's gonna be like a point where it's not moving anymore, and then perhaps because of the gravitational pull or a lot of other factors, is gonna pull back together, and you can have like a reverse Big Bang. It's gonna be like a yo-yo. It's gonna have a very precise curve. It's gonna be, when it reaches that point where it stands still, it's gonna be very slow and take many, many years before it starts retracting again. It's gonna accelerate very, very slowly. And then at the end, it's gonna be just as fast pulling back together again to the center of the universe as it was in the beginning when it exploded. And some people compare it to like a heartbeat, like the universal heartbeat. Imagine that. Like once every some kind of crazy number of billion years, the Big Bang heart bangs. Oh, why not? But actually everything is turning to iron. Like all matter in the universe, all matter that we can perceive and understand, wants to become iron. Because iron there's some kind of stability in the number of protons and neutrons and electrons in an iron atom. That there's stability in that. Some kind of universal law where all atoms try to become iron. So you got hydrogen, right? Yeah, that's the smallest atom. It's basically just one proton and one neutron in the middle, and then an electron whirling around it. And the next one is helium, and so forth. Each time you go up one, you add one proton, one neutron, and one electron. And they're merging, and like all the smaller atoms are merging and becoming heavier atoms until they reach iron. And all the really heavy atoms like uranium and all those that have like 100 and something protons in the core. They wanna they they wanna rip themselves apart until they reach that number 20. Is it 27 or 26? I think it's 27. That iron has. You know, my old chemistry teacher, he used to say, you shouldn't be walking around with that data book. We had this big, ugly blue data book in chemistry with all the formulas and everything, all the elements, and it was heavy and it was thick, and he said you shouldn't be. You can't carry that stuff around. You need to have it in your head. Like a chemist has that stuff in his head because it's so important. Like it's what you are. So you need to know that. Like never mind the movies and politics. You need to know what you're made of. You know, you're made of somewhere between 70 and 80% H2O. So that's two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. And that makes a water. That's why you're so susceptible to all things that affect water. Okay. There was this experiment. It's been done quite a few times. You can do this experiment. Take 2 glasses of water and fill them with like fresh water that's not contaminated by anything, like you would buy from some kind of some kind of spring from the mountains in Sweden or something. And fill them up, and then write on the glass, like 2 identical glasses, right? And you place them like a meter apart, and you write on one glass. You write, "I love you, love." Oh, love, baby, I love you so much. You can write whatever you want as long as it's loving. And on the other glass, you write, "I hate you. I wish you were dead. I want to kill you." Or any nasty words to such extent. And what is this crazy experiment supposed to accomplish? Well, what happens is the water will rearrange itself, like the structure, the way the molecules are formed. Water actually, like snowflakes, it has specific ways that it structures the molecules together when it's just being water. It's like a recording mechanism. They say like a glass records everything you say. It becomes an imprint in the glass, and if you have the right tool, you can actually play a piece of glass like a record. But so the same thing with water. It absorbs the energy the vibration around it. And love has a really high vibration. Love has a really high vibration. You know, when you make love, when you kiss, and when you have orgasms, when happy things occur, when you feel joy, then your being is vibrating at a very high frequency. And of course, if you know anything about yin and yang, good and evil, then you would already now have calculated that in the other glass, with all the negative words, you have a very low frequency, right? Like hatred and fear and anger and anger, fear, aggression. Hate leads to suffering. All those negative feelings, they create a very low vibration. And the whole experiment is to see what kind of shapes do the water molecules create in these two glasses. And in the positive glass, they create these perfect geometrical shapes. Like when you look at them, they're like completely symmetrical and beautiful. They look unique. I've seen quite a few, and they look just unique, but always following like a golden rule or something. Always being well shaped, you know. And in the other glass, you have these really eerie, intimidating shapes that are not symmetrical or divine in any way. They're just low and writhing. They are dirty. It looks like a bacteria or a sickness or something. And that is just pure water molecules being affected by something you wrote on the glass, because when you wrote it, you put that frequency onto the glass, right? You were thinking it, you were writing it, you were manifesting that energy, and the water absorbed it. And here's the point, because if you consist of 80% water, right, imagine whenever something, like everything you're surrounded by, you're gonna absorb all the horrible, nasty shit going on around you. You take that in, and if you perpetuate that, if you revel in it, if you cannot think about anything beautiful, if you're being tortured, or if you live in a constant state of fear, or you have to survive all the time, the water in your body is gonna be twisted. You know, it's gonna be dark, sinister, evil. And no wonder people get sick and they think, Oh, I just I better take some of Rockefeller's medicine, right? I better go throw myself to the doctors who can feed me synthetic happiness, right? Bullshit, bullshit. Like the medical industry is really, really fucked up, and that is a big, big area. But to cut it down right now into chunk size bites, uh, the plants that are on this planet have been there long before uh, people in white coats with stethoscopes try to push red and blue pills down your throat. The plant life, in its infinite diversity on Earth, has so many applications. You can find a plant that can heal pretty much anything if you just look it up. So, for example, right now you have cannabis oil, that cures cancer. Like, some people will just cure themselves of cancer just by laughing and having fun, because that brings the vibrational state and the frequency of the water in your body to a different state, different plane, right? You can also like help that along with all the plant life on this planet. There are so many obscure little plants that grow in mountain regions or in the jungle or all around us that can heal us in crazy short time and completely inexpensive. Like everything you you take into your body, everything you eat is medicine. Like food is medicine. And people think, oh, food is just food. I need to stuff something into my mouth to survive. No, you should read about your blood type and what's good for you. But you should certainly realize that if you stick some kind of piece of food into a day old pot of boiling grease, uh, where the where the where the fat molecules in that grease are just completely destroyed from being overheated, and you stick food into that and you saturate the food with that, that's not going to act as a medicine in your body, my friend. Okay? That's going to be really unhealthy for you. And at the same time, if you go to an unspoiled plain somewhere and you pick like a black currant berry of some bush that looks completely unspoiled, that is growing next to a waterfall, and once you get like close to this bush, you can just smell the goodness. You're like intoxicated by that subtle, delicious scent in the air, and you put this berry into your mouth, and it's like an acai berry or one of those blueberry or some kind of black currant berry, and you can just feel those antioxidants just swirling through your body, and the taste on your tongue is just amazing. But no, you have to go down to your burger joint, right, and stuff your face with grilled meat and fried vegetables that are filled with all kinds of nastiness. And see that contrast. I contemplate that. What are we eating? Because you're eating all the time. Like, what are you drinking? You're drinking water? Are you drinking tap water with fluoride in it? And so we're on this planet, right? In space. With all these marvels all around us, good and evil. And there is this theme going on with good and evil, light and dark, yin and yang, up and down. This duality, like a matter, antimatter. Now they're saying time, anti-time. It seems that like every action creates an equal and opposite reaction. It seems like everything has to have a counterpart to be able to exist, because you wouldn't be able to recognize it if it didn't have an opposite. So, because if you were in a white room, like, and everything was white, and you were white, and your body was white, and everything on you and inside of you was white, and everybody was white, then you wouldn't even know it was white, because you couldn't see anything, you couldn't do anything, you couldn't touch anything, because it was just the same. It was white. So you need to have that difference, right? That contrast, to be able to even know the difference. And this brings up a really nasty point, because does that mean that evil is actually necessary? That you can never ever be rid of it? It's just gonna fuck you over, fuck with the human race forever and ever and ever and ever, and all the good guys, they're gonna fight. We're gonna fight, right? And we're gonna win. Good always wins. Well, it doesn't last, does it? Good wins, and then party a lot, and then you kind of fall off your game, and then you're not watching your corners, and evil starts creeping back, right? It's this yo-yo game, this back and forth, rope pulling between those two sides of life. And why? So we're on this planet in space, and we're wondering about what is the edge, the edge of the universe, where the dragons live. You know, at one point in ancient times, we looked at, we saw this flat Earth, and we thought if we sailed out there in a big sailing ship, it would just fall off the edge, and you would like drop straight down into some kind of steaming water hell where you would be swallowed by dragons and serpents, and you would end, you would cease to be. And the edge of space, like the edge of the universe, is kind of like that for us right now. We're imagining this, and we're saying, what is beyond that? Like that single photon that has been traveling for so long. The, it, there's always gonna be a distance that is greater than what that photon has already covered. So there's going to be something outside of it. There has to be something outside of the edge of space. what is it going to be? Emptiness, like nothingness. We have a very hard time as a race imagining emptiness, nothingness, because, well, for one, we fear it. But also because we don't know it. We've never seen emptiness. We've never, well, maybe in our hearts and minds, but not physically. But I postulate that at some point in the future, or maybe there is like one brilliant person on Earth right now who already knows this. Maybe there's a race out there who already knows this, but at some point we're gonna look at the edge of space, just like we look at the flat Earth now. We point at it, at the flat Earth, and we laugh and we say, yeah, that was back then in the ancient times when people thought the Earth was flat. And in the future, we're gonna say, yeah, that was back then in the day when we thought that space had an edge, and if you went there, there was nothingness. And but now we know. Now we know that on the other side of the edge of space is like a giant McDonald's, right? That's what's gonna have to be out there. Like something meaningful, right? Well, who knows what we're gonna find out? Like, like how we're gonna look at the universe at that point in time. Some say, like, there's a theory that if we actually ever find out what the meaning is and how it's all connected, then everything is gonna cease to be. Just like yeah, the computer game we were talking about, where you figured out that it was fake. Like your character became so intricate and so complicated and so knowledgeable that the environment was no longer viable for you. Can you imagine being such an entity that what we perceive as the universe right now is boring to you? It bores you? It's like the Q from Star Trek, right? They, if you haven't seen it, the Q is a race that are omnipotent, godlike. You can take any form and do anything, save the day whenever they want, but they never really want to intervene. They just seem to want to play with us and tease us and make us question ourselves and prove ourselves and man up and make hard decisions. They're kind of like a mentor, but they do it in that cool way where they don't point in the direction that you should go, but they present you with difficult options and tasks that help you in some way. Like, first, you think that they're really screwing you over, but in the end, you figure out that you've grown from that experience. The Q, like, I wonder if the Q is out there, just flying around in space. Like, they could go back and forth in time. They could take anything with them. They could change stuff in the past or in the future. They could go anywhere in the universe. And it brings us back to folding space. But they could go anywhere, do anything. They had no age. They had no deadlines. They had no money. They had no McDonald's. I see. That was like one of their biggest faults right there. And when you reach that point, like, what then? What are you gonna do then? Have you've seen everything? You've been everywhere. You've done everything. Like, most of us, like, we imagine, oh, I would go have an orgy, like, oh, eternal party, white wine spritzers, oh. But at some point it gets too much with the shrimp cocktails and the pedicures and what the massage from a 1,000 nanobots. While you're bathing in the moonlight from some interstellar phenomenon. Like, what are you gonna do? I guess we were not old enough, or we don't have capacity yet to imagine that state of being. And there was this episode where the Q Q was played by this character John Delancey, and he did a really good job. That was like, he could be anything, and you sometimes transform himself to different things, but that was like his main character, and he wanted to die at some point because he's seen everything and done everything, and he just said, I've been everywhere, and at all times I've been from the birth to the end and back again of the universe. I don't want to do it anymore. It's boring. It's boring. And I guess he wasn't satisfied with just like settling down with a couple of Orion girls. You know, those green skinned beautiful ladies that are very skilled in the art of love making, and that wasn't good enough for him. He wanted death. He wanted to cease to exist because the universe was boring. And that's like the perfect irony for some guy or girl sitting out there in radio land and saying to themselves and their surroundings, I'm bored. Like, when is the new Counter-Strike? When is the new Call of Duty coming out? Like, I'm bored. Have you looked up in the sky ever? Have you seen a star at any point in your life? Have you ever imagined just being out there? Like, how can you be bored if you have a brain, if you have a mind, and you the thing is, the human beings might not be omnipotent at this point in time, but it certainly feels like our mind is. Because in your mind you can do anything. There are famous stories about torture victims who survived like crazy torture sessions because they used their mind to be somewhere else. There is you're only limited by your mind, and where you want to go with that, where you want to take it. But some people are still very limited. Some people don't have the full capacity of their mind. Some are retarded. Well, some never reach like a higher state of contemplation. You know, you have to learn quite a bit to be able to even speculate like this, to throw these like humongous ideas around. It takes a certain amount of honing, you know, of the mind. You don't just pop out of your mom as a baby and start thinking about the edge of space. if you grow up and you're never stimulated, then of course you can live your entire life without ever having an original thought, and many people do that. You know, there is a crazy amount of people right now who have no clue which country they're living in, or what the president's name is, or what year it is, and that we're on the brink of nuclear war. And if we ever manage to escape or divert or avoid a nuclear war, actually make it through without any total destruction. There's going to be people on the face of the earth who never knew that there was ever a danger, who just made their way through life doing nothing, being bored. But the thing about folding space and and seeing eye to eye and being on the same level and being able to communicate with each other, which is a kind of like one of my big goals with all of this, is like, trying to establish some kind of common ground. I'm reminded by an anecdote from my own life with my father, right? My father is a very brilliant man. He's a living encyclopedia of scientific knowledge. He's a physicist, a chemist, an astronomer. How do you say that? Astronomer. Not to confuse with astrology. If you ever do that in front of my father, you're gonna get in trouble. Because star science is not his favorite dish. But my father, he has a very sharp mind. He's not like an automaton that just recites physical facts in your face. He can put it together so you understand it. So you see it. He can make sense of it. And I remember this one time tying this whole thing into the folding of space. We were coming home from, I guess, a shopping trip in the city, and we had bought our groceries there. We were gonna have like apple porridge with biscuits and milk and maybe a couple of steaks with potatoes and gravy. We're gonna play chess all night and talk about the craziness of existence. And I was young. I was like 8, and we took all we had these plastic bags, right? And we put all the groceries away, and I took these plastic bags and I scrambled them up. I like scrunched them together in like a ball, in like a chaotic ball. It was all twisted and it's making these plastic noises from being squeezed. And I was gonna put it in like the place we put plastic bags. And my father said, that's not gonna fit in there. And I opened up the thing, the drawer, and no, it wasn't gonna fit. There was not enough room for it in there. And he said there's a very simple trick to how to make that fit in there. You take one hand and place it at the upper right corner and one at the bottom right corner of the bag, and you pull until they cannot get further apart, and then you got a straight line, and the bag just unfolded magically. And it was almost straightened right away. And then he said, "You just do the same thing on the other side," and I did that, and it was all flat and empty of air. And then you fold it around the middle axis, and you fold it again, and it's a little square, and you can put it in the drawer where the plastic bags go. And it's that simple, guys. You know, we're trying to squeeze everything and mold it so that it fits into like we're little children, and we're playing with these round and square bags, and we're trying to make them fit. We're trying to make everything in our life fit, and we're squeezing these plastic bags, right? Try to mold them and twist them and bend them to our will. But the answer is that you actually have to pull it apart, pull it away from each other, not squeeze and push and battle with it. Just see the edges, and that's if you see the framework, like the edge, the shape of the bag, it's so simple. And there was this in Star Trek Next Generation, the Ferengi. The Ferengi is like this this kind of like not very tall little race with really big ears. Like the whole cranium is shaped like a giant ear that goes into a brow, and then a humongous ear on each side, and they have pointy little teeth, and have these laws of acquisition. Everything is about acquiring profit with these little creatures. And Gene Roddenberry had very, very much fun with these guys, trying to get you to see that acquisition. Like, you cannot have stuff. Acquisition never works. You're never happy because it's never enough. And there was this one episode where he had like they had like a little toy on the Enterprise. It was a finger lock. You put your index fingers into it, and it's made of a material, so it's like a hollow little tube. But when you put your index fingers into it, if you try to pull them out, the tube actually constrains your fingers, and you cannot get them out. So the more you pull, the harder it holds your fingers in place. And the only way to get it off is to push your fingers together, more together. See, that's like the complete opposite of what you feel like doing, what your mind tells you to do. Like something has grabbed you, something has captured you, and you want to get away, so you pull and pull. But the solution is the opposite, to push and so that theme is very much everywhere, where you have a problem, and you fight and fight and fight against it, but the solution is to retreat. It's kind of like war. You cannot end war with war. You cannot wage war on war. You cannot terrorize terrorism. Everything has an opposite. Right? Love and hate, they counter each other. Water and fire. So this was kind of trippy, huh? We've been right to the edge of space, and we know that everything is turning to iron, and the water in your body has a frequency. And there's good and evil, and light and dark. And we're gonna keep exploring space on this planet that is actually very much like a spaceship in its own right, traveling around the sun, revolving around its own axis, in a galaxy that's turning around its own axis, and also traveling away from the center of the universe. So many directions, so many possibilities, and so much crazy randomness going on, right? So, guys, I'm gonna close this captain's log, and I'm just gonna say good luck out there. And this is Mike signing out.